All right, it's the moment you've been waiting for. The intros. Welcome to The Lounge. I'm Matt with Voltner Woodworking and your host of the Maker Lounge podcast, where we have a rotating group hanging out and talking shop with each other. Today I have a co-host in the lounge. Maker Conversations is not only the name of her podcast, it's her persona. She loves talking to all kinds of amazing and talented makers, and yet she wanted to have me on her podcast last week. We had so much fun over there that I asked Tiff to come back and co-host with me. So Tiff Marchand is here. And I don't know if I said that right, your last name.
You made it sound real fancy. Marchand.
Yeah.
Marchand.
And
bonjour.
His logo may be the only thing I've seen with a spyglass, but I've been spying on his stuff for a long time. And today he is going to give us a glimpse inside of his business and how he got started. This maker has made so many French cleat tool holders and other projects, he single-handedly created the Baltic birch shortage.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So Chris, with a glimpse inside, is here on the podcast with us. Thanks for being here, both of you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me, man.
I'm excited.
The shortage.
Yes, single-handedly.
That's funny.
So Tiff and I were on a podcast, on her podcast, Maker Conversations, and that should drop this week, I think.
It's dropping Monday.
The
20th. Yes.
So yeah, we had a blast over there. And when I was talking with her, she's like, "So who's coming up in the queue and stuff?" And I said, "Chris." She goes, "Oh, I've got to talk to him." Like, and I said, "Well,
I'm in trouble."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Sure.
I'm really, really curious.
I'll be an open book, whatever you want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she was awesome, and we had a great time over there. And she does a great just line of questioning. So I was like, perfect. Then I can kind of only work half the podcast.
It's nice.
Right. Essentially.
So
Great.
Chris, you got a glimpse inside. You've got a closer glimpse on YouTube. Yep. And so tell us the origin story of A Glimpse Inside.
Yeah, so the origin story, okay. Basically, so I started being a consumer on YouTube back in about 2014 probably. Didn't realize YouTube was a subscription-based type thing where you didn't have to pay for it. You just sign up for whatever channels you want to watch. Mm-hmm. And over time, I started watching YouTube more so than cable. And like most people have transitioned into, they watch other streaming services. But YouTube is kind of where I thought these people actually make content that is, well, it seemed more personal, more real, more whatever. And of course, I've always liked making things with my hands. You know, you guys know I was a bakery manager for 2 decades or so, and that was a job where I had to use my hands a lot, which was fine. Which wasn't really my passion though. And we'll get more into that, kind of talk about passion or purpose and kind of that kind of stuff too later on. But what ended up happening was the table saw I wanted so badly, and back in I guess 2010, maybe 2011, I started building cornhole boards with a circular saw to make a little bit of money, so I could earn enough to have the hobby always pay for itself 100%. I didn't want to go into this because I knew it could be a rabbit hole of expense and all kinds of stuff. So that was kind of the origin of where the woodworking came, as a lot of people did, cornhole boards to make money, to buy things. And slowly but surely I added tools to the lexicon and started making various other projects, built-ins, a stage for a little kid's room that a family friend had. So different projects to kind of get more versed and do things. And then when we moved into this house, from a small house to an apartment to a bigger house finally, because the family was growing, I had a 2-car garage for the first time. Coming from a 1-car garage, everything was on wheels. There was like a little hallway you had to walk through the 1-car garage, and it was cool at the time. But man, to set up canopies, these 12x12 canopies outside to go work, and maybe
this is my life that you're talking about.
Yeah,
1-car garage right
I did it for years, and
a tiny little narrow passageway.
Yeah. And you know what? You make do with what you have, right? And so the craziest part about this is over time, as I was married and the kids were being born, long story short, I'm not going to get into this. I've told it in a video that my wife kind of had some health issues and she couldn't work. So she goes, as kind of like a joke, she's like, why don't you just like start a YouTube channel and have a second income, see if it works? And I'm like, well, yeah, I don't have a DSLR. I don't have a new MacBook. I'm not going to do all that.
Yeah.
She's like, aren't phones sophisticated enough? And I was like, sure, I guess we could try it. So I did a client build. I was doing client builds still, smaller things, paying like $1,000 farm table. And that's what I did. I had this $1,200 farm table I was making out of select pine from Home Depot and legs from a salvage yard. Yep. Did that video, recorded it on the phone on an app called Video Shop, which is not a sponsor or anything, but like that's just what I used. And it took me 3 months to edit because I didn't know what I was doing. Finally launched it, and it got way more traction than the 12 subscribers that I had because I put on Facebook. I'm starting a YouTube channel, and it got like 1,500 views back then. And it was kind of like, I was like, wow, okay. Of course, we weren't monetized. It was nothing like that because the channel wasn't big enough yet. But it became this kind of addiction. Like, that was kind of cool. Oh, yeah. Right? So the next video didn't do a thing. So I was like, okay, the addiction's still there. So over time, I told myself, I said, look, if this is the way it's going to be, if I'm going to still be working in this corporate job, kind of corporate, I don't know what you want to call it. It was pretty corporate, but I'm going to do a YouTube video once or let's say twice a month for 5 years. And let's just see what happens. That was the big goal at the time. And man, after the first year, about 10,000 subs came in. Nice. And the name, by the way, it was kind of like my wife and I were talking about what should we name this thing. And of course, I didn't want to pigeonhole myself into a shop, Chris's workshop, which is fine. It's all good. But she goes, I don't know, people kind of, she's like, I married you because you're kind of an interesting dude. Like, I never know sometimes what's going to come out of your mouth. But people kind of might want to see, get like a look inside kind of your head, about some various things. And I was like, that's cool. How about I look inside? And she's like, well, that's kind of generic. So we pulled up, thesaurus.com. And nice. It just kind of came out. Glimpse was a pretty good one. And I've always heard that like hard consonant sounds in business are better. Kodak, Google, that kind of stuff. Although I mentioned Kodak and they're probably out of business, but
they had a good run.
They had a great run. So I thought that would be kind of cool. It has some type of, I don't know. It's interesting. It's not pigeonholing in me in one thing. If I wanted to do something else, I could. It's a glimpse inside whatever. It just kind of worked out that way. And so there you go. That's kind of like the origin story, the genesis of kind of what happened. And slowly but surely, it became this kind of thing I just couldn't not do. I just couldn't not see where it would go, even though I didn't ever think this was ever going to become a full-time gig. And to be quite honest with you, the video creation side of it is not a full-time gig. It would not support anything. I mean, I don't know what happened with YouTube or whatever, but I had a channel going. And I was making decent money in terms of AdSense for a while. And it was like somebody YouTube just turned the faucet off of like the shop build video and various other videos that were always performing. It was like, I mean, it was cut down by 30%, by 60% at one point. And again, you probably want more questions about how it all happened, but it was at that stage where I realized I had to do something other than video content.
So was this before or after you started the second channel?
The second channel was something that I just tried in terms of putting things on there that I thought were very obscure. The goal was to do a little more obscure, a little more personal, a little more kind of a closer glimpse of things. And it did well. It did okay for a while. I mean, it's only got like, I don't know, whatever it is, 10 or 12,000 subscribers, but and eventually it kind of manifested itself into where I'd put instructional videos on how to put together the stuff I make. Where I didn't want to inundate the main audience with these instructional videos that were kind of slow.
No, that makes sense.
But it was good. It was nice. I had that channel already established to do that, and so certain products I make come with QR codes where they scan them. It takes them to that video on the second channel, and they can see how to put something
that's a good
together.
idea.
Still trying to figure out how to make these QR codes on this laser. They're not 100% readable sometimes because they got to be a certain size. But either way, like again, the second channel is there. And again, I was trying to do this. Man, I put something out there, I guess, a couple of years ago about trying to, be a healthier person too. I didn't want to put that on the main channel. Of course, I did well for about a month and a half, and then fell off the wagon.
Flat lines. Yeah, like all my videos.
So, but yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So the QR code, that's a great idea, and you're not doing like a Patreon or anything like that. You're just putting that out there for access for everybody. The closer glimpse or like just,
Yeah.
like
we have a
builds
Patreon
and stuff.
campaign, but it's just like, hey, here's a Patreon thing. It's what we're doing. If you like what we're doing, here it is. I typically give tangible gifts on Patreon and virtual gifts on YouTube memberships. Percentages off the website for memberships and like kind of obscure kind of apparel, or I can't believe I'm not wearing my hat today, but
It's nice that you do so many different things though, and you tie it all together. To be able to do that is really handy.
Yeah, we try. And so there's nothing exclusive about anything. Like I answer probably every DM I get. I try to talk to every single person that ever reaches out to me. I don't have a Patreon exclusive thread where I'll only talk to you if you pay me money. I just think that's absolutely ridiculous. And some people do it, and I'm not going to name names, but that's fine. If that's your thing, it could be because you would just be inundated because you're so damn popular, right? And so I get that too. But I probably answer, I don't know, between 10 and 20 people probably every day. So it can be. Yeah, I got to sit for a minute, probably about 30 minutes a day, and kind of just go through and see, But it's
it was maybe a year ago I reached out to you about some stuff, and you were very quick to respond. Yeah. And, given the amount of followers and everything that you had and how busy I could tell that you are in all of your videos, you're like running from place to place, finishing projects. I was like, wow, that's really cool. And you were, very personable. Which is hard to come by.
And that's just kind of, it's 3 years old, kind of the same way. It's just kind of who you are as a person. I think you have you have a kind of a compass of who you are from a very young age. And I just happen to be very fortunate that mine happened to be what it is.
Yeah. Well, and Tiff and I talked about this on her podcast, but the people in the maker community are just so welcoming, and it's not something that you get in a lot of other industries.
Mm-mm. Not quite.
No, they're so welcoming. They're so open to share their processes. I mean, same thing. If people ask me questions, I'm going to answer them unless they come in kind of like hot. You know what I mean? Like, hey, give me all of your secrets. I've never talked to you before.
Right. Yeah.
right. And there's certain things that, like in terms of running this business now, I'll share almost anything. In fact, it's been people would ask me from time to time, it's like, are you afraid of putting all your digital files out there for what you make? And it's kind of like putting your IP just out there. I said, you know what? I said, I'm not too concerned about it. And if I can tell you a quick story about an incident that happened one time, I got a message from a viewer. Said, I don't know if you've seen this, but here is a tool holder. It's your design. It's being sold on Facebook Marketplace out of Montana. So I looked it up and I screenshotted the thing and I did like an Instagram story. I was like, look at this. This is crazy. And then within like, I did that story and I looked back at my phone and the guy who had done it already sending me messages on Facebook that I didn't see. And I opened them up and he was like, I don't know who you are, but I'm getting inundated with people who are like harassing me that I have stolen something from you. So I'm taking it down. I came up with this on my own. I swear. I'm like, oh, okay. But the people in the community, in my smaller audience that I have, compared to these other people out there, had just gone to Marketplace and messaged this guy and said, what are you doing? You're taking this idea from this guy. Shame on you. And he got so bombarded with messages that I didn't even provoke. I didn't ask anybody to do this. That he was like, I'm taking it down. I'm sorry if I offended you, whatever. And then that was it. So like this community, even behind my back, had it.
Yeah.
And fought. Yeah. It was kind of a cool moment.
Yeah, that happened to me with the pencil clip too.
Did it really?
Yeah. So I came up with the pencil clip thing or whatever. Okay, the pencil clip in and of itself is not a new idea, right? It's like a French cleat holder is not a new idea.
No.
But there's something specific about the design, the way that I did it, and there's something specific to the way that you do your tool holders. And I had another maker who was like, who knew about me and followed me. And they started doing the pencil clip, and it was a very similar design. And I messaged them, and I was like, "Hey, kind of not cool, right?"
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, yeah. Oh no, now that I see your design, I didn't see that before," or something like that. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Right. And they're like, "Well, I'm not gonna put this out to everybody." And then fast forward 6 months, and they were putting it out to everybody. I was like, "Okay, well, that's all right. It's patent pending, so we'll see."
Yeah.
Now, they've changed the design, so. That's fine.
Patents are reasonably priced if you have a specific patent, but broad patents are unbelievably expensive.
Well, it was a waste of money for me to be be completely honest, putting a patent out there, you have to have the money to back up the patent, right?
Right.
Now, we're talking about somebody who's in the same niche as me. We're not talking about, somebody who's got a major manufacturing company.
They're not
Right.
injection molding these things hundreds at a time.
Yeah.
Per minute.
Yeah.
He's 3D printing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so do you.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, not anymore.
Not
I
anymore.
had a production run.
You had a
but
mold
yeah.
made? Okay. That's what I thought. 'Cause the one I got seemed like it wasn't 3D printed.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better quality, just
Yeah.
like you. It's like you're looking for different types of materials. So when there was the Baltic birch thing that you created, the shortage that you created single-handedly,
Right. Yeah, right.
when you couldn't get Baltic birch anymore, you were looking out there for other materials to
Yeah,
use.
found a few. There really is no substitute, like real substitute in terms of its like weight. I mean, these sheets I'm getting in now, they're 4x8, 3/4 of an inch, which is only 0.7. It's actually one of the thinner 3/4 of an inch plywoods out there, but they weigh 84 pounds a sheet. For in retrospect, like the Garnica poplar ply is only 51 pounds a sheet. So we're talking 30 something more pounds per sheet of wood. Wow. It's amazing how much more dense and strong and whatever. And it's overkill. I could probably make everything that I make out of 1/2 inch and just remodel it. But for now, I'm not doing that just because. I mean, it would probably, I don't know. Maybe I should have started that in the first place because it would save on shipping. It would save on weight. I mean, it would do a whole bunch of stuff. But I think there's just a robustness to things when you get these in your hands and put them up, and they kind of, I don't know. It's an interesting look.
They look cool. They're stronger, probably. You know what I mean? Like,
and again, never thought I would get into this. Never thought it would even happen. And I'm sure you'll probably want to know the origin story of how that came to be.
I'm really curious on just like when you were making your goal for your 5 years of YouTube.
Yeah.
What was your focus going to be at that time, and how much has it shifted since then?
Okay, so the focus basically was back when I started this, it was interesting, unique build videos. They got people's attention, which they still do now. But man, you have to do something crazy, something nobody's ever seen. And or you have to be an unbelievably narrative storyteller. Storytelling is pretty much the basis of YouTube. If you could tell an amazing story and hook someone in the first 10 seconds, you'll have pretty good success. Here, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not the best storyteller. I'm a good conversationalist, but in terms of editing and doing, it's probably more work than I'm willing to put in, which sounds horrible, but it's not necessarily something I'm all that great at. So that's why I have this kind of Green Acres approach. It's kind of like, not take it or leave it, but this is the realest I can do it. And so I started making these videos and doing build videos, and they did okay. The more elaborate build or the more rare the build, the better the videos do. For instance, it's rare for someone to build a shop from the ground up in one video for 20 minutes. That's a kind of a rare video, but a table is much more ubiquitous than a shop video.
Right.
So the percentage of content that's out there in a certain style, like a shop video, is small. And so those videos do better. Everyone's built a table, and it's a dime a dozen. They won't do that well unless you do something crazy. Right? You got I don't know what you would do. LEDs are passe. I mean, who knows? So, and again, channels, I find this too. Channels are also built with what videos have gone well for you and what your audience expects to see. So the videos that have done well for me, and this tells me a lot about my making ability, and it's funny, but it's embarrassing all at the same time. So I have 2 videos that have over 1 million views. The shop video is almost at 2 million. Basically, my more popular stuff is me facilitating things that other people can do. Okay, does that make sense? So maybe I'm more of like a better host or a better kind of like just kind of showing you MC, right? Is that what I'm? Is that I don't know, but it's hard to replicate a shop. It's hard to replicate those expectations again. Okay, so I'll give you an example. There are
you can only build so many shops.
You can. So if I'd have gotten popular because I did projects for under $20, if I did projects that sell, here's 5 of whatever, then that would be easier to replicate. And there are channels that basically are shilling products and shilling ideas and don't build anything anymore hardly, and they're getting the views that are completely financially supporting them because they make that business decision, right?
Yep.
This is working. I was actually sitting, and I don't think he'll mind me sharing the story because it's a pretty cool story. 4 workbench cons ago, I was having dinner with some friends, and actually Jonathan Kaz-Moses was there, and he was just introducing himself. And KM Tools wasn't invented, my website. We were still babies at this. Mm-hmm. And he was mentioning, he's like, I have this crazy video. I don't even know why I did it. It's called like top 5 techniques in woodworking every maker should know, or something like that. Mm-hmm. He goes, it's going nuts. I'm like, I don't get it. That's not what I do. And it completely like changed. He's like, wow. Showing the technique, showing the knowledge,
right?
Instead of the product, instead of the end goal.
That's what's intriguing.
Is what was more intriguing. And it was a paradigm shift that he had right there at that damn table, and it was like it was interesting to see that. And Rebecca, I think at Southern Pine Design, was there with us too, and she remembers. She's like, I remember that whole conversation. That's so crazy that happened right then.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of pivot and know what's going to work for you. Again. I'm not that great at that. I have certain videos that do really well, and it's me facilitating. Like, here, I found an unbelievable deal on hardware. Mm-hmm. Check this place out. Or this is where I source my plywood, and here's another alternative. Those do pretty well. Mm-hmm. But me personally, I haven't made the shift into doing just that style of video because I don't know. Maybe it's a stupid financial decision because I just don't feel like it's who I am. I don't know.
Well, I think you have to stick true to who you are.
To a certain point, but you can't put your family in jeopardy because you're prideful in who you are. Right?
True.
No,
it's true.
So right now you're making most of your money on the products that you're selling.
Oh, easily 75%.
Yeah.
Without those products, I don't know what we would do. So, it's basically, as a maker who's in the space doing this on his own or on her own or whatever, you have to convince the world out there. And this is a number I'm just going to throw out there. Everybody's situation is different depending on cost of living or whatever. But I have to convince the world to throw $8,000 to $10,000 to me every month. Okay, here's what I'm doing, and here's what. Hopefully, you guys can just make it come on, Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like the goal here, right? And without those products, I don't know. I get very little comments about, oh, here's Chris, here's another infomercial coming out, that kind of thing. I take those to heart. There's overwhelmingly people are positive about things. Mm-hmm.
Your approach is really nice. I was just watching a few of them, the way you're talking, and it's very natural. It's not sales pitchy. You're literally just like sharing what's going on in your life and what's going on in your shop. Like it comes off very well, just so you know.
That's very cool to know. It's basically like I have a need. Like I have a need to keep things a little organized. I am not an organized person by all means. I mean, if you look at this crazy table, it's just all kinds of. I mean, there's stuff all over the place here, and I'm not the most organized, but I do have some type of semblance of order. And if I had a little less to do, I'd probably be a little more organized. But the caddies, the holders. Basically, I don't know. You can't see it here because they're far away. But I started making things way before the tool holder that just didn't have any traction. Making end tables, kids stools, making planters for different plants, making miniature cornhole boards. I had all these ideas that I was putting out to the world. In fact, I probably have about 700 individual bags sewn for cornhole boards, just ready to go. I had a lady helping me. She would make 200 at a time, red and blue. And when I tried even putting them out there, you probably don't even know about it because I didn't market it right. Because it wasn't desirable for my audience to even do. And the long and the short of it was, I actually had a dream. It sounds so silly. I had a dream where someone was telling me, like, you just got the plaque. You have 100,000 subscribers. Mm-hmm. That means you have 200,000 drills out there on your audience that don't have a sexy storage solution. And you're not going to reinvent the wheel here by putting a drill holder together, but try to do it. So I did it for myself, and my dad and I. It's crazy. We were talking. He was like, "I'm really concerned about you putting these drill holders on the CNC. I think that's going to inundate people. I mean, not inundate. It's going to that's going to make people leave your channel if you make things on the CNC." And I said, I kind of agree. Mm-hmm. I should do them on the bandsaw. He's like, yes, do them on the bandsaw. And I did a couple on the bandsaw, and I was like, this is a pain.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a lot of turns.
Use your CNC.
It's a tight turn. I said, I'm going to do it on the CNC, and I'm going to say you can do it on the bandsaw. Maybe I'll offer a template or something like that. Did the video. That video is done pretty well, the Epic tool storage, and I even offer. I said, look, I got a pack of these. I'm going to give them to my dad. because he and I kind of brainstormed this idea. Is this of any interest? And the comments on that video about yes, make them was 10-fold over the comment traction I was getting before.
Yeah.
So I spent about 7 days and I refined it a little bit, made it the shape it is today, and did an infomercial, like I said, on it the next day or the next week. Posted the video late. I think it was like at 7 o'clock at night, and it was just doing okay. And then the next morning I woke up and I had a website set up with a Stripe account, and there was almost $5,000 in that Stripe account like overnight.
Wow.
And I
Fantastic.
couldn't believe it. And it took me a month and a half to kind of just get everything, get all the orders done. It was pretty eye opening, and so that was okay. All right, dream, whatever that was, it worked. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of made me think, maybe, just maybe, that making for makers, as crazy as that sounds, might be a niche I can create for myself. And the idea is that most woodworkers don't want to do this organizational crap. They want to have the functionality of something organized, but they don't want to put their effort into it because their passion is cutting boards, chessboards, tables, chairs, whatever they are. Mm-hmm. And I thought if I could make it somewhat visually appealing and aesthetically, not too flashy, but super functional, mm-hmm. it would take hold. And not to say it's taken hold, it hasn't gone crazy, but it's done well enough for me to just absolutely pursue this and to keep on plugging on. So,
mm-hmm. So yeah, you would have been kicking yourself had you had that many sales and you had to stand over a bandsaw and cut off. Can you imagine?
Very, very valid point right there.
I'd still be standing there.
I would say that the number one comment I get when I post anything about my shop organization is, gosh, I wish I had time for that. Because mm-hmm. most people are just doing things on the weekend, and they at the end of the day on Sunday, they just leave their pile there, and then when they come back in the next weekend, they want to start making. They don't, right. So they just build upon that pile, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. Right. So you've got a great solution for that. As long as they've got the French cleats hung up on the wall. But if they don't have the French cleats hung up on the wall, you also got them covered there, right?
Yeah. Well, my number one selling item is the standard tool holder, right? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have a French cleat option. So, and that was by design because I didn't want, again, there's a whole pigeonhole thing. Like you have to have this if you have this. And right. I just said, look, and everyone comes with these kind of high quality Craig style screws that I get from the manufacturer where I get them from. And they're super great. They're like gunmetal in color. They're really robust. And I include either a 4-pack, an 8-pack, a 12-pack, or whatever, depending on how many you order. Mm-hmm. But the hardware always comes with every order. And so, but you can put a cleat on if you want. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, do you? But yeah, I couldn't do that. I just thought it was just a smart decision to keep it semi customizable.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Did you find when you started your audience, that you had a way larger maker audience too? Like since you were putting out woodworking videos and stuff like that, like it was like a natural transition to start building parts for them, right?
Yeah.
I'm running into that so often now with Sabertooth because I'm doing so many carving videos that I just feel like my audience has completely shifted. And you do kind of have to shift a little bit with them if you want to make money off of them.
Right.
If you just want to.
Right. Is your audience shifting, or are the people that have always been there becoming more vocal because they enjoy
that too?
Mm-hmm. It could be the same exact people. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't hear very often that people are leaving the channel. They either do or they don't. Mm-hmm. But when the other thing is when people come new to my channel or to you, if let's say they don't know who you are and they see the carving aspect of what you do, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to be their immediate first impression. And if they like that, that's better for you because that's the direction you're heading. Mm-hmm. Right? So same thing for me. Yeah. If someone comes in and says, this guy's innovating products for the maker community, that's cool. I'm down. But someone a year or two ago was like, man, I miss it when this guy didn't shill this crap out to us. You just never know.
Exactly.
So
no, you don't.
The people are different. You set their expectations on when they find you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about the evolution of tools. You've got a bunch of, like you talked about, you initially had the circular saw and you were doing that. Now you got a table saw and you got CNC, you've got laser. Like, where do you go from here? Like, what's in
Well,
store for you?
So, I don't really know. I'm kind of stuffed to the gills. This shop looks bigger on film than it is. It's only a 3-car garage. It's a 30 by 20, but it's really tall. It's like 16 feet tall.
Yeah, that's nice.
Oh wow.
So it's nice to be able to take a 12-foot board and swing it overhead.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't hit the ceiling. But where do I go from here? I mean, the bread and butter of everything that happens here is basically over to the right of me, where the laser, which is the size of a double-sized bed, which is stupid big. I mean, these things are huge. And I have a smaller CNC. I have that smaller Penguin. It's only I cut blanks down. I don't know if I could spin this camera around, but I cut these. What is that? Hold on.
Oh wow.
I cut these blanks down. So what you see behind me are 24 by 36 inch sheets of Baltic birch, and then 24 by 36 inch sheets of domestic B2 or A2 maple, meaning that it's pretty high quality stuff. And I find that the domestic stuff, in terms of the thin plywood, has to have a solid fir core or something like that, and then 2 veneers, because lasers can cut through that like a dream. Anything with multi-layer plies in between, like the stuff you get from Indonesia, it's going to be a little tough. Sometimes there's reeds and all kinds of weird like bondo inside the wood.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
pain in the butt. And so when you cut as many pieces as I do, you need to be able just to lift the pieces off and there be nothing there. You need to be able just to gather them up, shrink wrap them, do whatever.
Yeah.
And in terms of where I go from here, I mean, a bigger machine isn't necessarily what I'm looking for. Maybe it would be just another small machine, because all of my parts are so little. They're not cabinets. They're not panels,
Yeah.
They're little bitty, like 90-degree pieces or little forks or whatever. And I don't use tabs at all, which is a little crazy. I do this a little differently than your average maker. I don't care about chip load in the CNC. That's kind of why I developed these bits. We've got a set of router bits now that I'm offering to the public that sell out just about every time, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
I'm working with the Southeast Tool Company up in North Carolina, and they got to know them through trade shows and whatnot. And they've been a big industrial manufacturer of router bits. Meaning, they make router bits that are $800, $900, $1,000 a piece for big industrial applications. And he's like, I don't even know, what are you using? He's like, what are you using? I'm using an 1/8 of an inch, and I explained the whole process. And he's like, does that even cut anything?
Yeah. He's like, how cute.
Yeah. I said, here's what I'll do. I said, I'm gonna send you everything that I use. I'm just and man, he went in and started doing this research and finding the geometry and looking at things, and he recalibrated. He took the best of everything that he studied along with me and how it worked, and we've come up with a bit, man, that with this specific coating on it, it is 4 times durable than anything I've ever used.
Nice.
And again, I'm not going to mention any other router companies or whatever. I mean, there are great bits out there, and they last a long time for many hobbyists. I just do it differently. I push them to the limit, and the ones that I'm pushing to the limit now are lasting the longest ever. And they plunge down. I can cut through Baltic birch 3/4 of an inch in 4 passes with an 1/8 of an inch bit, running. I'm not sure. The CNC heads will understand this, but I still do millimeters. I still do either 1,600 or 2,000 millimeters a minute, and with no tabs. And I dial in the dust collection just barely enough to where a little bit of dust stays there at the bottom, and it doesn't let things shift around. And so it all works.
That's the secret.
Without fail, I go to the CNC and I lift the thing up, and then there's just the skeleton of pieces. So. I don't know. I think that there's some promise to coming up with like lines of products that aren't mine, but I'm using. Like this router bit is very new to me. The fact that I don't have anything to do with it except the R&D, and they've been wonderful. They've sent hundreds of prototypes over, and we've gone back and forth. And we finally landed on something that was able for me to actually launch out there, and we're trying to get. The problem is that they don't have, that's not like a default tool. That 1/8 inch router bit is something they have to manufacture every single day. And so he goes, that 1/4 inch bit, man, we started making that 1/4 inch bit. I've got like 10,000 of those right now. I just got to send them away for your coating. That's all. And so we're trying to get the infrastructure built up to where they're just always available.
How did you figure out to even make your own bits? Like, how did you know that you could do that? I
was upset with the performance that I was the speed I was having to go. I was like, there's got to be a better way. And I kept hearing that, 1/4 inch bit is where you need to go, and then somehow put maybe one tab in there and just figure it out. And I just refused. I'm like, there's no way. And so, and as it was at IWF where I was walking around to all these different places, Whiteside was there, Southeast was there. There's a bunch of stuff. And the owner of Southeast, the owner of the company, listened, and he's like, let me take you on a tour of all the machines that I have. Of course, the machines that make router bits are at IWF.
Right.
And so he took me around. He said, look, I have 10 of these. I'm like, huh? And they're
$200,000 machines.
More.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And because inside these machines, there are like 3 different 6-axis that all go together, and they diamond grind carbide. And again, he's been very, very forthcoming, saying like, look, your average carbide comes from here. This is some things I can't talk about. Your average carbide ingots are manufactured and come from here. I don't want those. I get these much more closer to home, and this is a better product. And again, carbide is just basically the world's toughest ceramic, right? It's not metal. It's a mixture. It's a compressed heat sealed mixture, like making like a pharmaceutical drug, and like they press it, and then there it is. And you can polish it to make it look like metal, of course. But the carbide that they've been using, I'll give you an example. He sends over bits without any coating, just straight carbide, and they outlast any of the other coated bits I've ever bought. So I don't understand it. And he goes, it's in the geometry. We figured something out with the geometry.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So this being part of, a new idea or concept for your shop and getting in the bit space, how do you come up with like new ideas for products that you're making?
Well, you have a need. So everything that I've made so far, it was a need to store something or to keep something more organized off the ground, whatever it is. I'm actually gone a little bit full circle here, and I'm actually redesigning my own stuff. Meaning, I should have had an example. Actually, let me show you this. So,
I love a good show and tell.
Yeah. People have to check this out on YouTube or on Spotify if you want to see the visual.
So typically, the visual. So typically, you would have a piece. I found anyway. I'll just show you here. Let me show you this piece right here. It's going to say this place was intentionally left blank, but these right here is basically, and I may be giving away an idea that I think it's mine. I don't know, but this creates kind of like a wooden spring, a compression fit. It's pretty easy.
It's up for the laser.
And when they go into a piece like this, you'll be able to tell, if I could even show this. Well, of course on camera. Yeah, there you go. So you get a click.
Oh, that's cool.
And when you could build an entire thing with zero glue, with 0 pins. I was using pins for a while. I was requiring the makers to use glue to put things together, and the end experience was a little bit more, I guess, work-related heavy on their end. They had to do something. This is almost like putting together like a cool model.
Yeah.
And I've been able to kind of figure out different measurements and whatever else. And now these pieces go together. I got a spray paint holder system coming out that I've been working with Pete Parisi about.
So just to tell people on that are listening, because it's a podcast, and they're probably driving in their car. So, describe essentially the mechanism a little bit there for.
Okay. So basically, if you take a piece of wood as you laser it, you're going to laser how many cuts are there? 1, 2, 3.
You essentially got like a fork, essentially.
You got like a fork that comes out, and in the space, the negative space of the fork, at the base of that negative space is a circle cut. So it kind of acts like a wooden spring between the two pieces. So as you push those two pieces that have round over edges, as you push those two pieces into a slot, they kind of compress into each other. And as they get all the way through, they kind of come out a little bit more, holding it all together. Now, it's not like, we're not talking like a permanent fix. You can knock this out. But when all of these pieces fit together in one cohesive unit, it's rock solid. You can take it and shake it around, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, very cool design.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And like I said, there's a spray can holder we've been developing. Pete Parisi from Pete Squared sent me the design, and I tweaked it for wood. And there is such a cool moment when you put these together. I'm hopefully going to get these out soon. When you put these together, where you hold it and you're pushing, and all of a sudden you hear like this massive click, and then you realize, oh, that's solid.
Yeah.
And that was such a cool moment. And I was like, this is something that I'm really excited to get out. I just got to get some more, website photos taken and all that.
Yeah. Well, very cool. So on this podcast, we do something that's we play a game. So I don't know if you're familiar with the podcast, but we play a little bit of a game. I call it a game. This particular one is not as much of a game, like where you're going to get points or anything like that. So don't think you're walking away with a massive prize or anything. But we play a game called Rapid Fire. And so it's a great way for me to just, cover a lot of ground. Tiff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the questions in the chat, I think. So what we like to do on this podcast is play games. Sometimes we play a game called Yes or No, and I ask yes or no questions or, things like that. For this particular one, we're going to play Rapid Fire. So it's essentially a way for us to fire questions at you that you can answer in kind of rapid succession. We can dive deeper into some of them, if we want to. But it's a great way for people to get to know you a little bit more, and we can cover a lot of ground this way. So this is a game called Rapid Fire. And so Tiff's going to be helping me out on it. You want to take the first one?
Absolutely. Sure. I actually like what would you wear on your shirt for just one word if you had to wear it for an entire year? So what word would you have on a T-shirt? I like it because it says a lot about your personality.
Yeah, man.
One word for an entire year.
On a T-shirt for 1 year.
Yeah.
That word would be. Man, this is horrible. This is not rapid fire.
No.
This is like
this is hard.
This is
it's
like
hard.
a musket.
No, they get easier.
Okay, so
we started strong.
I did.
Do.
Do.
Okay. It's hard if you
like
pick
that.
one word. Like maybe we should have had it phrased like quote or something. But
sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one word. Do. That's good. Tiff, what about you? Just curious about.
I was sitting here thinking as he was doing that now, and I don't know. I feel like it'd be like carve it right now for my personality.
Yeah.
2 words. I know
It's
it's
2 words,
cheating,
yeah.
but still.
Carve.
yeah.
Carve.
Yeah. It's like we're making a caveman sentence here. Do. Carve.
Yes. Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah.
Make.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
make is too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I want to pick something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or start something like that.
Tough question. Yeah, for me, as I was writing this
I was gonna
question,
say, what about you?
Yeah, I would just say, focus.
Focus. You wrote the question, and
Yeah.
it took you a minute.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
give me some leeway.
I definitely get. Yeah. Well, we had Nick and Christy from the Maker Collab on, and I threw some zingers at them in their questions, and I was like, "Oh, I got to write these questions a lot easier." Like it's just.
Yeah. I love Nick, man. He's great.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
All right, I'll take the next one.
Okay.
Here we go. Hobby outside of the shop.
Well, I was a musician for a lot of years. Like I said, when we talked before, again, with that hobby, when you have young children, I was a drummer since I was 12 years old, but guitar as well. And I like loud stuff. I have bad hearing because of it. But
What'd you say?
that was a big part of my life for a lot of years. And I wish I could actually spend more time with it now. Because I miss it. And again, it's a creative aspect thing. It's creating something out of thin air.
Yeah.
If you write a song or whatever else. But yeah, that's definitely a big one.
Yeah, I was talking on Tiff's podcast that we just recorded. If you go full time, then hopefully it frees you up to do some more of those hobbies. But it sounds like maybe that's not the truth, right? Because if you're going full time, then you're like just so focused on making that.
And I have a thought about why that is. Okay, and this is exactly why for me. So I spent the last 23 years before doing this curating a career with a company, right? Working my way up in the management structure, getting to where I could support a family with it. And that was 23 years of work to get to a certain spot. So when I go full-time here, I'm back to ground zero. I have to get back up to that spot as fast as humanly possible.
100%.
Okay. And if I can't get there as fast as humanly possible, I don't have another 23 years to get back to where I was a year ago. I can't. I have to get up there and and hopefully eclipse it. And if I'm not able to do that, well, here's what happens. You sacrifice every amount of waking hour to do the business now that you're calling your own. Right? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly why you think you have time, but you actually have less time to do what you want to do because you have to spend way more time innovating and doing things to create things on your own. That's kind of my thought about that.
Passion is amazing, though. I agree with you. Like, if you have the passion to continue and drive onto something, it's going to get you there. You got to put the work in, but the passion is where it's going to get to you.
Right.
So you said you're a musician. What is your favorite music to listen to consume?
Oh, probably just like angry.
Slayer.
Angry. Well, not quite. Like, I mean, I grew up playing the drums, right? Mm-hmm. And I was a huge Dave Matthews Band fan back when they were 92, 93, 94. I was 12, 13, 14. And so I made sure that I learned every single song from them on the drums. I could play every album, put the headphones on, just go at it. And then a buddy of mine, who we're always kind of in competition with each other as teenagers, he decided he was going to get a Les Paul and play guitar. And I'm like, well, I got to do that too. But I'm going to get an acoustic. My grandmother got me an acoustic for my 15th birthday, and it was the same thing. I got to learn these songs. He plays the guitar like a percussion instrument. I got to figure this out. And so I spent most of my afternoons and evenings learning Dave Matthews songs up until I was a senior in high school.
Very cool.
I played in the marching band and all that stuff like that too, but my tastes have changed a little bit since then. I like music that I feel like I can nod my head to and blast in the car and I got a soft spot for Adele as well. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
Girl can sing, man.
Yeah.
She can.
But yeah, I like a little more edgier stuff though. A little hard rock stuff like that.
All right. Very cool. What's the first thing that you do when you step out of bed?
That's a little personal.
Exactly. Okay, maybe the second thing.
So
what's do you go for the coffee? I guess do you go for the coffee? Do you go for the shop? Do you go for the computer?
I check email first thing. I check to see if now with my life the way it is, I check to see what orders have come in and what my day's looking like in terms of, am I stocked up? Can I just go in there into the shipping shed? Can I just go pack and be done? Or have I run out of something that I got to go manufacture? That's kind of like where I'm at. I plan my day very early on, contingent upon what's come in that day.
Yeah.
And that's fairly new. Mm-hmm. It used to not be that way, of course. But it used to be just, go to the shop, come up with ideas. And before that, it was get up at 3 or 4 in the morning and go bake bread for a living. But
right.
Yeah, but for sure, it's definitely get up and you kind of get an idea of what needs to happen before lunch. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then
because there's some people who, they kind of go about their day and like get the relaxing part done, and then they go, get focused. And then there's the other people, which, I think a lot of us in this maker space are the people who get out and the first thing we're thinking about is what can I make today?
Right. Yeah. Oh, and it's been ingrained in me too from my early career. I mean, I was, 18, 19 years old. I was frying donuts for a living at 3:30 in the morning. And it was hard because all of my friends were coming home and they were getting home and going to bed as I was getting up and going to work. And they were like, "You're an idiot." I'm like, one day it's going to pay off. This weird, stupid lifestyle is going to pay off. And I played golf back then. So I would get off at work at like noon and I would go walk 18 holes for like $2 at some municipal course in Jacksonville Beach. And man, that was such a crazy good time in my life. I was in better shape. I was so active. I was working hard, and my roommates were annoying, and I never saw them anyway, so yeah, it was fine.
Really impressive that you were in better shape while you were frying donuts every morning.
Right, exactly.
That's impressive. Yeah. You resisted.
Yeah, well, I mean, being around that stuff my whole life has been tough, especially because I'm addicted to food. That's what I call it. I'm addicted to something we need to live. So that's a whole nother show.
Right. But save that for the after show.
Yeah. I will say I'm not going to tell. I'll tell you an after show, but I have found a technique that's been working really well. I'll tell you about that later.
Okay. Yeah. We'll look forward to hearing it. So we'll do 2 more. Tiff will do one, and I'll do one.
Sure. All right. So if you had a maker that you'd spend the whole day with, who would it be? Man,
oh man. I'd probably Pete. Pete Parisi, the guy out in California. I'm going to finally meet him at Workbench Con this year. He's coming up, and which is going to be awesome to shake his hand and whatever. I've never been so inspired by someone's ideas and their mind and how they think. Yeah. It's so great that he's a cool dude as well. Mm-hmm. And Pete and I have curated a great relationship over the past, just virtually talking on the phone, whatever, FaceTiming, whatever. But if I could spend a day and just kind of see kind of like an inside the mind of someone, it would definitely be Pete, no doubt.
Yeah. You better bring your spyglass to look inside that mind.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, he was actually on the first couple episodes of this podcast. Just a really smart guy.
Wicked smart.
Wicked smart. Yeah, he could take over the world, I think, with his inventions.
Hey, what are you guys from Massachusetts now over here?
Yeah. Wow, you've been posting a lot of your interview with Derek.
Right. So. Yeah, he's rubbing off. God, talk about good guys. Like I think I could hang out with Derek. Like he is just.
Derek, I don't know if y'all know this crazy story, but I got to go. Maker Camp was like a bucket list thing for me. I had no clue what was going to happen. I wasn't going to go. I couldn't do it. I had too much responsibility at the house. So my wife, of all things, my wife has autoimmune problems, and it's hard for her to get out of bed consistently. She reached out to Derek, and she goes, "My husband wants to go to Maker Camp so bad. He won't go because he's being too responsible here. So can you help me with this?" And he's like, "Absolutely." So
that's awesome.
He ended up he said here's what I've done. I'm gonna pick him and Bobby Duke up from the airport. We're all gonna drive to Jimmy's house, and Jimmy has a room for Chris to stay and no hotel needed.
Wow.
And I got an anniversary card, and I opened it up, and like tears were falling down my face. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You orchestrated all this?" I mean, she crafted a picture of Derek in there, and it was just so cool. And it was just such
sounds awesome.
It was definitely like a bucket list thing to be, hanging out at Jimmy's farmhouse at 2 a.m. We're down there forging whatever. And just the camaraderie between all those guys, and for Jimmy to open up his house like that and have us all there. And it was awesome. And I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it if the wife hadn't have reached out to Derek and had that whole thing manifest itself.
So cool.
So talk about
my husband. My husband bought my ticket to the first Maker Camp that I went to and pushed me to go as well. So it's nice when your partner supports you. It's a really beautiful thing.
Yep. And support can just be the opportunity to do it.
Right.
You know? And that's amazing. It's like, it's just having the mindset that I'm going to but I want them to do it, and I've got this for a minute, Of course, my mom came over and helped out, and it was a good situation here at the house, so we worked it out.
Good.
So,
yeah. Very cool.
Thank you, Derek.
It's beautiful.
Yep. All right, last one. Would you rather be able to rewind time or have a pause button?
Oh man. Well, okay. Can I keep the same brain if I go back, or do I have to lose all the memories and knowledge?
Yes. Why not?
If I can keep the same brain, I go back.
Yeah.
If I couldn't, I would pause.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to give two different answers here, but if I could, I would always say I'd love to go back in time with the same knowledge. Because things would be very different. And not to say that I would get like winning lottery numbers.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. But honestly, pausing would only get you ahead for a very temporary time, I think. When you unpause, you would just be right back into the rat race probably faster than you might recognize.
Yeah.
But you could probably change the outcome of quite a bit if you could go back.
Yeah.
For the good. Yeah.
I agree. If you have the same knowledge in your head and you went back in time, oh my goodness, the empire I would have built already.
Right.
And there's no, if you don't have the same knowledge, you're going to still make the same bonehead decisions.
Yeah.
You might end up in the same exact spot, maybe even worse.
Right.
Well, it took me forever to take that risk on me to quit my job and to go full time as like a content creator. And, it's amazing, like the courage I could give myself if I was back then, and like, just do it now. Just do it now, and you'll thank yourself for this.
What did you do before? Just curious.
I worked in marketing and advertising for about 20 years, 16 years at my last job, and it was a big corporation. It was, and I was just miserable.
That sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
It was. It really, really was. If you go back to my old podcast, Behind the Maker, a lot of it is me just going, God, I hate my job. Like It was like a daily, oh my God. I was just so open. I was
Yeah.
asking my job to lay me off, and they wouldn't. Like, it was that bad. I'm like, please
That's
just get
awful.
rid of me.
Yeah. Hey,
I don't want to
Matt-
quit. You get rid of me.
Yeah.
And Matt, I know you're the host, man. But what's kind of give me like a Cliff Notes of your kind of like
Yeah.
why you're here now?
Yeah, so I'm in oil and gas for my full-time job, and I'm on 18 years with the company, and I cannot wait to get out of there. But
Yeah.
the pay is so, is so good that it's
Yeah.
keeping me there for right now. And
For sure.
eventually I don't want to be so, like you and I, we talked about this the other day. You and I are the exact same age, well, within
Yeah.
a few months of each other. And
Well. Yeah. We're about a year,
Wait, what's
less
this
than a year
mysterious
apart.
age?
42, 43, something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I'm 41.
okay.
No, well, hey,
We got you-
We're like
Yeah, we got it. We
Back
got the
to back.
spread: 41, 42, and 43. Let the audience
79.
Let the audience guess.
It should be 79, 80, 81, right?
Yeah, who's
Right.
older, Chris or Matt? Let the audience guess.
Yeah.
If you're on YouTube, put your comment below.
Yeah. Don't look at the hairs. Don't let them mess you
yeah,
up.
no. I use Just for Men. I tell people don't be fooled.
I don't.
Yeah, I haven't used it in a very long time, as you can see.
Oh man, the camo shampoo.
But yeah, I'm in oil and gas for my full time job. So I do this, on the weekends and when I
Nice.
can sprinkle it in. And I happen to be every other Friday I'm off, and then every other Friday I'm working. So it's just
That's nice.
yeah. So today's
It's a nice work-life balance thing they do for
yeah,
you.
exactly. So today was one of those days I was glad we can squeeze it in because I've got baseball tonight. So.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a challenge, It's just trying to squeeze it all in. So one day it'll be a full time gig, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, really, no kidding.
Yeah,
I mean, you do have one of the more aesthetically organized areas of your shop for sure.
Yeah.
How's that clear resin top holding up on your work?
awesome. Yeah,
Is
no
it-
issues.
Are you still careful with it though? You're not
Yeah,
like
I'm careful
throwing
with
paint throwing paint
Yeah,
cans.
I
on
mean,
it and all
I've
that.
dropped chisels on it.
It's all gentle.
Yeah. I mean, I've dropped chisels and hammers and stuff like that. It hasn't cracked. But the only thing is you can't like scrape glue off of it.
Right.
Because it'll scratch.
Correct.
But it's worked out pretty good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah, it's one of the better ones out there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm actually
Yeah,
gonna
man.
be doing I'm gonna try my hand at this YouTube thing. Like, I'm gonna try to make more of a push. So I want to talk
Yeah.
to you in the after show a little bit about YouTube and strategy. We'll talk a little bit deeper, I think, if you're up for it.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, most definitely.
So people can find you at aglimpseinside.org for your website, or find you on Instagram or YouTube.
Yep, they're all there. You just Google kind of a glimpse inside, and you'll see either a website or a channel or whatever pop up.
Yep.
It'll be there.
And perfect. And Tiff, you are at Night Carver Designs for one of them. We'll also put your podcast in there.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Maker Conversations or Night Carver Designs. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we'll leave all that
Very
in
good.
the show notes. So thanks for being here. It's been awesome getting to know you.
Well-
And I know we could talk for hours, right? That's the thing about these
Yeah.
podcasts.
It's been an honor being here, man.
Yeah. So thanks to Surf Prep Sanding again for sponsoring today's episode. Head over to surfprepsanding.com and then use the code MAKERLOUNGE, all one word, for 10% off your sanding and abrasives over there. And thank you to our patrons. We've got a number of top tier patrons: Jimmy McAnally, Matthew with Artigiano Serio, Victor with Wind Design, Justin with Calvary Customs LLC, Brent with Clean Cut Woodworking, and then our new top tier patron, Bailey Thompson. So thank you. Head over to patreon.com/MakerLunchPodcast and sign up to be a patron and see if you can make it in by Workbench Con so you can visit us in that podcast recording. Thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks for
man.
having me.
It's been an honor. Thanks again. And it was awesome conversation. And we'll talk in the after show, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks again, buddy.